You're starting your third year. So how would you describe how your second
I'm a junior.
year... Yeah, you're a junior.
Yep.
How would you describe how your sophomore year at St. Leo went?
Sophomore year went very well. And, we were concerned at the beginning that the expenses were crossing the revenue line. But because we made some very good changes and repositioned ourselves really, our operational dollars were actually positive for the last 2 years, which is very good. I think a lot of people, because we worked through this, I think a lot of people didn't realize that St. Leo's in very good shape financially overall. We've got a good reserve, and we've been positive over the last couple of years. So we have to be good stewards as we go forward, because the environment is rough out there right now.
Right.
The number of high school seniors is flattening out. And if you take a look at some of our other markets, the military has downsized, so they're smaller. And doggone it, the financial side is doing very well. People have jobs.
Right.
And we're counter-cyclical. When people have jobs, they don't go to school. When there are no jobs, they go to school.
Right.
So it's a tough environment, and we've got to be competitive. I think we've restructured ourselves in such a way that we're in pretty good shape right now.
Okay, so what would you say was your greatest challenge that you faced last year, and do you have any specific plans that you're going to tackle this year?
Well, I think revenue is the thing that we've got to face. Just as I mentioned, that the environment's pretty tough out there, and we do have specific plans. If you talk to each of the areas, they know now that we only have 3 objectives for this year. Number 1 is to recruit more students. Number 2 is to retain and graduate those students. And number 3 is to communicate and talk. Especially as we went through the restructure, people are now talking to people they've never talked to before, and we've got to build that trust and the communication lines.
How do you mean, like, who's talking to who that they had never spoken to before?
Well, when I first came in, we were much like a holding company. Okay, so you had St. Leo, and then you had your campus, you had your online, you had your centers, and you had graduate. And they really were separate entities. What we've really done is combined everything now, so that we're one university.
Like we were talking about just now.
So that's exactly right. So what you're seeing now is, for example, the education counselors who take the phone calls from people that are prospective students are now talking to the centers, where they only used to deal with online. And in fact, the online would compete with the centers. Now, the education counselors are servicing both the online and the centers. So they've never talked to them before. We put in Salesforce into the centers. They never had any IT to help them. So now the centers have that. Those are the kind. That's exactly right. So they've got to talk to each other now. And where they used to compete, now they're supposed to be working together, and there's you've got to work through that trust. Same thing with what I've told them is I will talk to the staff and faculty more and let them know where we're going and what we're doing. I want to hear their ideas. There's a lot of good ideas out here. So we started one thing with the staff and faculty, that we're going to have people in charge of different objectives for the year. Talk to them and then listen to what they have to say, recruiting or retention or even communication.
Okay. So this is the start of your third year as president. We've heard that when you initially started, you signed with a 3-year contract.
Did I sign for a 3-year contract?
So, can you talk to us at all about how much longer you plan to stay here?
I plan on staying. I was in the military for quite a while. And people would ask me when I was going to retire from the military, and I'd say, as long as I was having fun, I was going to stay. So fun? I'm staying fun, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of energy on a campus here. During the summertime, it is quiet, and it's great having the students back. It's, for me, stealing energy from the young. That's what I look at it as. So as long as I feel energized and feel like I'm contributing, I think I'll be staying.
I feel like you feel that way. You seem like you feel that way. Okay. So we're aware that St. Leo's hiring a provost. So can you explain, like, to all of us in here and to everyone that's going to be reading this, what exactly a provost is and why the university is deciding to hire one?
Well, Mike Nastansky, who's the VP for Academic Affairs, wanted to go back to teaching. So we said, great, do that. And we're taking the opportunity now to elevate the stature of that position. I want the provost now to certainly take care of all the things that the VP for Academic Affairs did, all of the classes and the programs for the campus, but also for worldwide. But also take care of the campus. And then you have that synergy between the academic side and the student success side, and you get better mentoring, I think, better advising. That's critical for retention. So the retention folks are doing great right now, but think if we had better advising coming in to supplement what they're doing. So putting together that those two things, those two activities, I think is pretty important. Eventually then that means that I'll have one person, a senior vice president who's a provost, taking care of academics and the campus, and then one senior vice president taking care of worldwide and marketing enrollment, and that's Dr. Melanie Storms. So again, it's a move, I think, to put that university together, and that will free me up to do more, I think.
Because the provost will be able to do more specialized things.
More specialized things, and I'll be freed up to both external and internal things, which I think is pretty important for the president.
So do you think we'll be seeing the provost's face around campus? Will we start to see their face more than yours around campus on a day-to-day basis?
Not more, but you better see his or her face around the campus. I think it's critical. I think it's critical that my vice president's faces are around campus and around worldwide. So they do have to travel. They have to get out into the centers and find out what's going on out there. When I was first here, I left Savannah. The Savannah director just put her arm around me on the way out the door saying, hey, you've got about 2,200 students back there on campus. You've got 13,000 out here. Don't forget us. So you've got to think of them too. But I expect that all of our faces will be around here, and mine just as much as it is. I enjoy the interaction, I really do. And I would miss that if I felt like I was going to back out of this.
So it's just going to be an additional face that
It'll be an additional face. Actually taking the place of Vice President of Academic Affairs, but I'm looking for somebody that is a very good academic, but also a very good leader. So I expect that person to be out with the faculty, with the staff, but with the students too.
How is the process going on selecting someone for that position?
It's going okay. There's a message that went out today that said that we interviewed 3 here. My lead candidate backed out. I think he was an urban person, and I think when they came to visit the campus, we're out a little ways, and I think the rural atmosphere might have dissuaded him. And the 2 others I didn't think were quite as good a fit. So we're going to continue the search, and we're going to continue doing it well. Now I'll tell you that I've got Mary Spoto sitting in as the interim Vice President of Academic Affairs. She's doing an absolutely great job, so I'm very comfortable with doing that. And we're coming into a good season for hiring. They tell us that right now is probably a better time than when we started in the spring.
Why is that? Why is it better time now?
I think people are beginning to take a look around right about now. If you get to the end of the academic year, they're pretty well settled. They're going to use the summer for study, and all their plans are sort of set. If you start right now, and I've been told this with the faculty too, that faculty hiring ought to be done right now. And I think the same applies to the provost.
I think we're all aware that undergraduate admissions numbers were pretty down this year compared to years past. And we've even, we were taking a look at, because one of our staffers is a resident assistant up at Marmion and Snyder, and there's a lot less of the floors being used up there, just a lot less kids up there. So is this a major concern for the campus?
Oh, it's always a concern.
And just the follow-up was, is there going to be a plan to increase enrollment for this year?
It's always a concern when it doesn't go quite the way you expected it. And there is a plan. And that might be a great story for the paper to talk to John LaRosa and to Dr. Storms and talk to them about the campaign plan that we have set up. It really is going after some of the populations that I think we could do a better job on. I think Catholic high schools, I think, and not to stay away from public high schools, but add the Catholic high schools. I've been out to 6 of them already, and I told them I wanted them at 50. I think we can do a better job on international. I think things like students who are homeschooled, and there's a Hispanic population out there that I think their family values are very close to the St. Leo values. So there's a number of things we can do. We had a great meeting over the summer with the National Hispanic Institute, and we had 130 Hispanic rising seniors here on campus, and they had an opportunity to see St. Leo, and we're going to continue that relationship. We've got a 3-year contract with them now, where they're going to come back each time. So this is there are a number of opportunities out there, and I think it'd be a great story for the newspaper to take a look at. But we will go after. We want to increase enrollments both on campus and worldwide. So we're going to be working those, and we have campaigns in each of those areas.
So for where we're at right now with the lower numbers right now, is that going to significantly affect tuition for this year and next year?
No, it's not going to affect tuition. We have fought to keep our tuition low. You know, if you do a comparison with the private schools right now, St. Leo has done a great job in tamping down the tuition. I'm not saying it's not going to increase, but it's not going to increase to offset this. We're working, remember I told you we restructured so that we're in pretty good shape right now. We can take this, and we've done well over the last couple of years financially. So we're working to do that throughout the rest of the year. But there's opportunities here for us to do a better job in bringing students in and not raising tuition. I think as you take a look at it, there's an argument to either increase margins or increase volume, and we're going after increasing volume.
So you're talking about that the university has a plan to tackle this issue for this upcoming year with admissions and recruiting, but do you have any advice for what students like us can do on campus this year to help with, I mean, not really with admissions, but with retention for students that we have now?
I'll tell you the same thing that I told. So we had community day the other day, and I had the staff and the faculty in the stands, and I said, what happens if each of us brought in one student? What happens if each of us went home and got one student to come in next year? That'd be a great win.
You said that to the crowd.
I told them the crowd. I'll tell the same thing to the students too. And we're in fact, one of the you asked about the campaign plan, but one of the things we're looking at is to have students go home to their high schools and maybe a couple neighboring high schools and talk to them about St. Leo. Wear your St. Leo gear and bring them a pennant. The counselors put those pennants up on the wall and students see them, and I think that's very important. So
I was asking specifically, like, what can current students that were already here do around campus to kind of like boost morale and get the retention rate better for students that are already here?
I think get involved.
Okay.
I think that's get your ideas for increasing campus activities to the student activities folks. And if you see somebody in trouble, help. Raise your hand. Whether it's the academic, the financial, or whatever. Raise your hand. Let's work to retain those, everybody. My idea is if we accept somebody in and they work, we ought to be able to graduate them. And I think that's extremely important. As long as they're working, that we ought to work to get them to the finish line. And I think that, and I told the parents this too, as I spoke to them the other day with the freshmen, finish in 4 years.
Right, I've been hearing you
Get
say
out,
that.
get out, because 5 years, that's an extra charge, and you're not earning money. So get out in 4.
Okay. Right.
Graduate in 4. Don't just get out, graduate in 4.
So as you know, this was your event. St. Leo's first town hall meeting last semester was a bit chaotic, but despite that, we thought it was a really good idea. I mean, the concept is a really good idea. So, is this something that the university plans to do again this year? And if so, how will it be different in order for it to be more efficient?
Well, look, I've been in the Army 35 years. I've been in business and that, and I've had those sessions before. That doesn't bother me. Those are concerns, and I listen to the concerns. I think it's important to hear them. To be more efficient, I don't know, maybe we do it by topic. Maybe that would be an important way. We're going to focus on this particular area this time. I had a couple meetings with student government, with the activity leaders last year. That was not the only time I talked to students, and they were very productive. They have some great ideas. They want to be engaged. Student activities has a lot of the fees too that we could, use for some of the activities around here. So there's possibilities, and there were some very good ideas. So that wasn't the only time I met with students.
That was probably just the biggest and most public one.
And probably, yeah. And the others were student, but each of them probably had close to 100 students there, maybe 60, 70, 80 students there. So it's been very worthwhile. Mm-hmm. I also had breakfast with them, and I'm in the dining facility about 11:30 every day.
We see you in there, yeah.
And I sit with students, I sit with the vice presidents, I sit with faculty. So if anybody has an idea or anything, I'm willing to listen. That's not to say that every idea is a good idea, but I'm willing to listen to hear what they have to say.
When that situation happened, we actually talked about it a lot at our staff meeting because a lot of us were there. And I don't know if you want to take this into consideration, if you guys ever do decide to do like an actual town hall event again, but an idea that we had was to have like a panel behind you, so you would be leading it, but the panel would be behind you. So if there was a specific question that a student asked that you felt one of the BPs or another person felt, and I know that you were at the event, you were kind of having some people answer the question, kind of delegating the questions to them, but an idea that we had was like an official panel sitting behind you. So when
we could do that.
Right. So when there was a question that you may not know, like something like a ton of information about, you could be like, oh, well, this person probably has more information on that. So that was just an idea that we had.
I could do that certainly, and bringing the expertise into the room would certainly be worthwhile.
Okay. So can you update us on the plan for West Campus?
West Campus, we actually have a couple plans. We've looked at it a couple times. We have not brought it to the board yet, so there's nothing that's official. The biggest thing we're looking at right now is that wellness center. Last year it went all the way to the end, and we were trying to get the government to give us $4 million, and it just got cut at the very end. But our folks there in Tallahassee have said, hey, try it again. So we're going to try it again. I think getting a real medical center here would be, DeChantel, if you've been down there, I'd ask you to go down and take a look at what's been done down there. They've really done an expert job of improving conditions.
That just happened over the summer?
Just happened over the summer. But we need a better facility. And this gives us an opportunity to build that facility with a fitness center on top. If you've been down to our fitness center now, you know that it's not appropriate for most students, and we need a place for the athletes to work out. So this would solve both problems.
Can you tell us, would you be at liberty to tell us any more about any other things that would be up at West Campus, or not until there's an official plan?
There's a number of thoughts that we've had. One of the thoughts was to have a freshman experience up there, which would mean redoing Marmy and Snyder, building a new residence hall.
In place of Marmy and Snyder?
In place of Marmy and Snyder, and in place of the ones down here too, and put most of the freshmen up there, but then start building some of the academic buildings up there. We could redo Marmy and Snyder to make them office space. So there's a lot of thoughts around that.
Would the academic buildings up there be just for freshmen and underclassmen?
No, I think I'd like to see people going both directions, but you might make more of them the gen ed courses up there, and then we're looking at other opportunities for other programs. I mean, we'd like to do probably some higher-end nursing programs, or some other programs that we're considering, maybe more STEM, those kinds of things.
So speaking about like the wellness center, and as you know, we just incorporated Florida Hospital onto the campus. So can you update us on like how the transition went, getting them fully incorporated into the campus, and then can you talk about their future here? We kind of just did with the wellness center, but
right now we're partnering with them for the wellness center. So I think that long term we're looking at them being partners for quite a while. I'd ask you to go down and take a look at what they've done down there, because before, and I'm not saying that it was bad, but there was a lack of privacy. It was now they have real examination rooms. They have a waiting room out in front, and they've been working to digitize the records so that you can actually have digitized records instead of the handwritten ones. I mean, we're just becoming more professional over there. Are we going to have challenges? I'm sure we're going to have challenges because this is something new.
Brand new.
But at the same time, I think we've improved what we have to offer over there.
So it's come to our attention that many students have noticed that many of the scholarships that have been available for application in the past are no longer available. So do you know why this is, and will any of those scholarships return, or will more be added this year for students to apply for?
The scholarships have not disappeared. Okay, in fact, we've gone up considerably, and our donors have been very, very good. September 1st, I think there's about 80 some odd scholarships that are going to be published. So people ought to be paying attention and take a look at the website. That's a real opportunity. I think there's going to be another 50 some odd in the spring, pointing toward next year. We have about 350 scholarships, whereas about 2 years ago we had only about 150. But when you commit them, they're usually committed for 3 or 4 years. So some years look like there's more, and then some years less, because if you've made a commitment, it takes away from that 350 for a number of years, because you're going to get that over a period of 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. So there's a lot more scholarships out there now than there have been. Maybe what people saw last year was a slight reduction because others had been given earlier, but they'll come available again as time passes. And we're going to keep raising money for scholarships. I think that's a critical area for us. That sort of goes with keeping the tuition low and providing assistance as we can.
So ROTC's location on campus has changed several times over the past year or so. So we even, when we were putting together the freshman issue, we always include a map in there, and we had a hard time verifying the location of where it is this year. So are they still in the Military Resource Center, or are they in Kirk now? Because we've heard a lot of different locations.
Guess what?
Okay,
You're wrong.
Okay, that's why
they are right beneath me.
Okay, so they're in this building.
Downstairs, right here. Okay. That's the new ROTC Center, and I need you to cover it. September 6th, we're going to have the ribbon cutting.
Okay.
And throughout the summer, they worked on it. They improved it. We have a new ROTC captain who came in this year. But we're going to open it up on September 6th. Plus, they're going to be in classrooms now, and we're going to get rid of those old
portables
over there. They're going to go away. They're just unattractive, and that's not the appropriate place if you're trying to. We're trying to increase the number of people in ROTC. That again is really an unprofessional looking operation. So
is the Military Resource Center not?
The Military Resource Center is for veterans.
Okay, so that is still there.
But Colonel Martis wants the ROTC working with the veterans, so that's another place that they can go to. So we're not discouraging that at all. But we do want them to have a classroom environment as opposed to that. Yeah, that was not very attractive. So what we're trying to do is improve and expand the ROTC program here.
So we know that the university's tried to implement summer classes for the past couple summers. And so with a goal of graduating students in 4 years, it seems that summer classes are necessary. Do you see that being implemented into the university anytime
I'd like
soon?
to see it. We tried it 2 years ago, but I think we tried it too late. I think they announced that everybody already had jobs, they had a lot of activities, so it didn't work. I've talked to Dr. Spoto about taking a look at it again this year. And some of the faculty mentioned actually having some, as you enter the year, for the incoming class. Now, we tried it this year with the first program for a number of the students, first time in college for their families, and we had 16, and they did fairly well. I saw them over in the dining facility the other day. They were all eating together. It's their family, and it's really a great concept. I think taking some of the students who need some extra help and getting them into the classroom environment, getting them situated into a campus environment, and actually taking classes early gives them a great advantage. They get to know their way around, they shake off any of the homesickness, and then they have a little family that they stick together with. So that's an opportunity too. So on one end, maybe in the April-May time frame, we take a look at classes for the upperclassmen to supplement what they're doing, and then maybe in the August time period, taking a look at some of the new ones coming in and giving them an opportunity to get ahead of the game.
So do you have any advice for the new freshman class?
Get involved.
Just came in.
Get involved. I think that's one of the key things, is to get engaged, do an activity, take advantage. What do we have, 70 clubs? Take advantage of what we have here. Don't stay in your rooms. Do your studying. You got to do the studying. If you have problems, get help. But we want you to graduate. We want you to graduate in 4 years, and we'll work with you. And as long as you're working, we'll work with you to get you through the gates here.
Is there something, like one specific thing or any specific things that you're looking forward to for this school year specifically?
The things I really look forward to, I really enjoy that first day when the students come in and everybody's out there, move-in day. It's just great. I was kidding around. I think a lot of the parents from New York, when they saw this deluge of students coming around their car, thought they were stealing their tires. I don't know, but it was fantastic. And I had so many very positive comments from the families saying, hey, you know, this is the kind of place I want my student in. And then the other time is graduation. You know, that's sort of the culmination of hopefully 4 years of study and work. And the graduations here are just amazing. The graduations out in the centers, even more amazing, because the centers and online, those people have been working, they've been working jobs, they've been taking care of families, and they still get their degrees. So it's really a special time, very emotional, and something that everybody ought to have an opportunity to see. It's what we're all about. So those 2 times are probably the best times for me.
Is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like to tell us?
No, I think the main thing for this year for all of us is recruit more students, retain more students, and graduate those students, and then keep talking to each other. Work together as a team to get the job done. And I think that's sort of been a hallmark of St. Leo in the past. And we want to just make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to do those things.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Lennox. I appreciate it. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. That's all I have.